Hope you are doing well. Thank you for being on time and for making it to this live. Thank you very much. It shows that there is a lot of commitment on your part, a lot of engagement in order to shed light on a number of issues relating to the relating to English in general, academic English in general, and academic research and also in English and also academic research. Si Mustafa, hello. We miss these sessions where we mention and talk virtually to our friends here. Hello, Si Mustafa. Natalie Leblanc, hello. Good evening. I hope you're doing well. It's great to see you again. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Si Mustafa. Si Mohamed Buknifi, hello. I hope you're doing well. Ustad Atimed, hello. Mohamed Boysan, hello. Menzakina Si Mohamed, I hope you are doing well. Si Buknifi, so happy to see you too. Thank you very much. Si Mohamed, Askwasa Mainu, Ikiin, the Daitokham, Nick. Okay, Tanmir Si Mohamed. Asma Duhan, hello. Welcome back. So glad to see you. Thank you, Asma. Thank you so much. Alan Ustad Zineb, how are you? Umayma say, good evening. Samia Mustafir, Ustad Samia, hello. Yasin Lit, it's really a problem, Professor. I don't know what the problem is here. I don't know. Tell us what the problem is. Yasin. Zineb, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you, Zineb. Thank you so much. Ima says, hello, Professor. I'm glad to see you again. Glad to meet you here too. Podcast خطوات خير says السلام عليكم dear professor. السلام عليكم. Iman Brigi, hello Ustad Iman. Thank you so much for joining this live session. I would like you, this is a request, of course, this is my usual request, is to take some time, if you 1 minute, a little minute from your time, to share the link to this live session. So I will share it on your academic companion, the Facebook page, as well as in a few groups. That's going to take maybe less than 1 minute. And then we will start, inshallah, our live session in hopes that it will be fruitful enough so that our, friends here, especially the ones at earlier stages, but it's never late to fix problems relating to written English. This is the object of our talk today. And for those of you who are probably at S1, S2, S3, they still have time to change the way they look at their studies in general, but also at written English in particular. And I have reason for saying this. So would you kindly be patient? Would you kindly tolerate my, the delay for the kickoff of this session? But anyway, we are just saying hello to each other. That's a very good thing already. Khadija Belghazi, before Khadija. Okay. So, and Yasin has deleted, has retracted the message. Si Mohammed, sorry. Si Mohammed Menzakin, I hope you're doing well. Menzel Walida, because anyway, I hope everything is fine. Khadija, hello. Saeed Rafia, Assalamu alaikum, Ustad. Ala salamtik, Allah yislamik, Si Saeed. Thank you very much. Yasin, the topic, Professor, I meant that's that's true. That's true. It's one of the most serious problems among university students. You see, some students do master the contents of the courses that they attend. They can talk to you about different theories. They can compare, contrast. They can, provide their points of view. They can do all these things. But when it comes to written English, they are oftentimes shocked at the grade that they have received, saying that they have answered all the questions and they have revised. They spent nights and days and, revising both individually and in groups, only to find out the grade is not to their expectations. This is a big problem. So the explanation, one of the main explanations, one of the explanations here is that there is a problem with how you express yourself. And therefore, this session is not just for those students who are making their first steps into the world of academia, but these are also messages to the people who are at the level of S5 or S5 or S6. I'm coming to this point in a moment. Let me just share this in order to attract probably more friends, and then we will come back to resume. So, how do we do that? I know that Si Mustafa Morshid, for example, is or has shared this because he keeps sharing. Thank you very much, Si Mustafa, for your generosity and for your willingness to help. This is really nice. Not necessarily me. You are also helping those who you share with. Okay, so I have a few, you see, groups here. As you can see, what I am doing. What am I doing now? I am sharing in different groups. Okay, nice. Okay, I think it's enough. It's enough. Okay, nice, nice. Okay, I think I have together, of course, with sharing it on the page itself. And okay, let me do it this way. Yes, very nice. So share newsfeed. Very nice. Okay, thank you. I think it's done now. I think we have a few more comments. Saeed Yassin. Abdullah bin Green. Greetings, sir. Looking forward to seeing your best insights during the session. Thank you, Sir Abdullah. I hope so. I hope you will, this session will be a benefit. Nuni Nunus, thank you very much. Glad to have you here too. Oppo, we need this session. Thank you. Oppo, Hajar Savers. Hello, dear professor. Hello, Hajar. Mustafa Morshid, you are welcome, Professor. Hajar, sir, I'm so glad to see you again. Thank you, Hajar. Thank you so much. Saeed Hamouri says, hello, dear professor. Hello, dear Saeed. Saeed Rafi, they have issues regarding sentence types. That's true. Word choice, that's also true. Modifiers, coherence, cohesion. Also, they have problems concerning the use of tenses. Yeah, absolutely. And I can add to this, one of the areas that are problematic, one of the sources of problems in written English is the fact that students use structures from other languages. They just change the wording and they think that it's going to work. You see, sometimes they use an Arabic expression, as you can see, and they just clothe it with with English words, and they write it. They think that English people express themselves this way, which is, of course, not true. And this brings me back to the advice that I gave you a while ago, 1 week ago, I guess, or no, it's been maybe 2 weeks ago, in regard to the use of the dictionary. You cannot, my friend, you cannot study English if you don't have a dictionary. And you cannot make good use of a dictionary if you buy a bilingual dictionary. See, bilingual dictionaries can do a lot of harm, to students. So this should be a starting point. There are things that students need to unlearn, in favor of, things that are, authentic, that are used by native speakers. You see, so it's not just that you, for example, let's use, an expression from Arabic, and you see, in Arabic, for example, you have أثلج صدري. أثلج صدري, you cannot have it. It made my heart frozen, or cold, or whatever, snow-like, or whatever. You see, so this cannot work. I'm giving you this as an example. It never occurred to me to see this very example, but there are a lot of examples that come from Arabic, that come from French, that come from the Amazigh language as well. Okay. One day, I remember it was one day, it's as early as 2003, 2002. I remember I used to teach at a higher education private institution. And as I was reading a paragraph produced by a student, I went back to her. Believe it or not, I said, "Are you from the Rif region?" You see? And she told me, yes. How do you know, sir? I knew that because he used an expression in English that is only, a combination that is only noticed in the Terifit variety of the Amazigh language. You see? And she said yes, just like that. And she was really surprised that I could, that I could detect that. And there are many expressions, of course, that come from, that you can see that they come from Moroccan Arabic, even if the vocabulary is sophisticated. What am I driving at here? Implication number one from these types of problems: use a dictionary, a good dictionary, as frequently as you can. Never have enough of your dictionary. Never have enough of your English dictionary. Bilingual dictionaries, while they can solve ad hoc problems, that is to say, if you find a word and you really want to know its meaning on the spot, and you can find the correspondence, but this does not guarantee that you have learned the word. Okay, we have the so-called false friends, faux amis in French, and we have them in other languages. You see, Spanish, English, Spanish, French. We have to be very careful, please, when you use our dictionaries. Number one. This is number one. Number two. A dictionary, a good dictionary, is one that is a physical dictionary, paper dictionary, not an online dictionary. It makes a difference. Believe it or not, it makes a lot of, there's a big difference, between using online dictionary and a physical dictionary. Okay. Say what you want to say about it. You can call this into question. You can take issue with me. There is no problem. But out of my proper experience and out of the experience of the people close to me that I know have been using, the dictionary, the physical dictionary, I mean, not the online, the paper dictionary, there is a big difference. I'm so sorry. So there is no harm. You can sacrifice, I don't know, 120, 30 dirhams to buy a good dictionary, make good use of it. A dictionary, my friend, or my friends, is not there just to solve problems of this means this, and then you go. No. A dictionary is also a learning opportunity. For example, when you see a lexical entry in a dictionary, one of the things you will notice, of course, you will notice the pronunciation, the IPA, I mean the phonetic transcription of the word. Just look at it and you will learn how it is pronounced. That's number one. Unconsciously, you are also getting familiar. You will not find it weird that words in English can also be written phonetically. So you will familiarize yourself with that. The other thing is that entry will point to meaning one, meaning two, meaning three, and you are unconsciously becoming aware of the fact that there might be, or there are oftentimes multiple meanings for one single lexical entry. I mean, word. Benefit number three is the fact that for each meaning, you have examples. The dictionary's choice of the example is not haphazard. When a word occurs in an example in your dictionary, it means that that's the most authentic way of, of using that word. And again, unconsciously, you are learning collocations. What is a collocation? It's the co-occurrence of words that co-occur. A bilingual dictionary will not teach you this. It will give you probably an equivalent, but language is not just words. You see, it's also collocations and how words combine. What's the best combination? What's a bad combination? What's a correct combination? And so on and so forth. Let me give you an example. When I learned the word reek, W-R-E-A-K, reek, as a verb. I read it in a newspaper somewhere, and I wanted to check what the word reek meant in the dictionary. I'm talking about the baccalaureate years. And then the word reek, which means to make something widespread, to devastate. It has all these meanings. But in the example, I read the word wreak, and next to it, there is the word havoc. Havoc is written with H, A, V, O, C. Wreak, havoc. This is a combination that a bilingual dictionary may not give you. And when you check the word havoc in the dictionary, you will find with it wreak. You see, which means that these are collocations. They naturally go together this way. Okay, and apart from these benefits, a physical paper-based dictionary will also give you an idea about the origin of the word. That is etymology. You see? So, conclusion, if you are really intent on investing in your English for your future, for your academic future, if you want to become a good user of academic English, then your very first step is a good dictionary. What does the word good in a good dictionary mean? The word good in a good dictionary means that the dictionary should be an English dictionary, not the bilingual one, please, unless you have a translation course and you want to probably check the equivalence. In that case, I'm not talking about the specific case, but I'm talking about the people. I'm talking to the people, to the students who really, are keen on learning academic English, which is, by the way, difficult to learn. It's difficult because it needs effort. It needs a lot of investment on your part. Okay, so a dictionary can help you to a large extent overcome problems with academic English. Now, um, the second piece of advice to improve your academic English is to listen to your professors talking. When you listen to a professor talking, the professor certainly is not, he or she is delivering the content. But in your case, do not listen just for the content. Listen also, pay attention to how your professor combines words. How does he use a word in a specific context? He may or she may use a collocation or an idiomatic expression or a transition word. All of these things, no matter how small they may appear to you, they are of significance. So if you don't understand, there is no harm in checking with the professor. Sir, you said this and this when you were explaining. I wonder what you mean by this. So this is one way of learning. This contributes, of course, to the shaping up of excellent academic English. Attend conferences, my friends. Attend thesis defenses. Keep maybe a booklet, a small notebook next to you, pocket notebook, something you can carry with you, and jot down any new word, any new, preferably, words, yes. Words, yes, because they will be helpful anyway. But specifically, combinations of words. Transitions. How do you introduce an example? How do you introduce a conclusion? How do you start? How do you move from one point to another? This is very interesting. So, when you jot them down, maybe try to apply them on your own, and so that they become automatic. Make sure that when you are in an exam, you will certainly impress your professor. Now, the problem is not just your professor, but after you get the BA degree, you might want to join a master's program. And in the master's program, you usually have a test, that the professors use to select the right students. So they ask you maybe to reflect on an issue, and you may notice that the topics are relatively easy. What do you think these professors are looking for? They are looking for two things, basically. A minor thing, and I'm responsible for saying that, it's just they want to know whether you can have your feet in that master or not. That is to say, they want to know if you have the basic requisite knowledge, okay, to make you a good master student in that field. When they are sure of course, you have erroneous answers, you can still be accepted. Why? It's because the major thing that is taken into account And this is also for the selection of doctoral candidate, and I'm alluding to the proposal here. You have to mind the language in which you put in your ideas. Sometimes there are answers that have enough content, but very poorly expressed. Now, do you think that there are professors, for example, who would admit to a master's program students who have serious problems? Problems, we all have problems, right? And no, we all have problems. On occasions, we produce mistakes, that are not. ولكن, to write a paragraph where in every line you have 3-4 mistakes, excuse me. Nobody will dare admit you to a master's program where you show that you do not master the rudiments of the English language. Okay, so be careful, please. The way you express your ideas in academic English matters as much as does, okay, or as much as the content that you express does. And this exactly, and I'm sure we have students here, or the ones who will listen to this video. I'm sure there are students who got shocked. Sometimes they send emails to professors saying that, well, I did my best, I did more than I could, and I prepared, and I answered all your questions, but I found that you have given me a 5 or a 6. So, and this happened to me, of course, only recently. And I checked the paper, and I was really surprised that the student in question failed to express a single sentence in correct English. You see, while this is not a general problem, because there are students anyway, I have had some S3 students who produced very satisfactory, essays, and they surprised me by expressions that I used to use in class, and that I frequently used in class, transitions, and I was really surprised that they could produce these expressions naturally. This is really nice. So if we follow these tips, let me repeat them. The use of a good dictionary. That's the first step. Listening to the people expressing themselves in academic English. رقم 2. Your professors, thesis defenses. This is a thesis. So look, difference. You don't know how much you can learn from attending a doctoral thesis defense or a conference. علاش? You can tell me, well, I can watch a film. It's more entertaining and I can watch it at leisure. Yes, my friend, but in a film, you will not listen to academic English. No. When you attend a doctoral thesis defense, advisably, you need to have something, in your pocket, maybe a notebook, small notebook, a pen, and then you jot down everything you hear, even the things that you can't understand, jot them down and look for them. If an expression or a word is used in that context, it means it's academic, and that you yourself can use in order to make an impression later on, in order to have people say about your writing that it's a good piece of writing, a writing free of mistakes, a piece of writing that is attractive enough academically. Now, at the doctoral level, we are often called upon to check the proposals, because so many students hear that there is a program, for example, at a given faculty, and then they submit their proposals. The topic may look, attractive, yes, but people express themselves in very poor English. We have a lot of run-on sentences, a lot of fragments, a lot of problems with agreement, problems of tense use, and maybe the use of vocabulary use, word choice, and all sorts of things. And you wonder how this person has gone through the licence and the masters, and how come that they are applying, for a position at the doctoral program. These people usually, are usually not given the chance. Be careful, please. Show that you are a good user of written English. Some students think that I am exaggerating when I say these things, because I often tell my S3 students, because I teach the course, the advanced composition. It used to be composition 2, now it's called advanced composition. And usually in the first session, I give them these orientations, these pieces of advice. Okay, that what matters is not whether you speak like an American or like a British. What matters is not whether you can speak for 1 hour nonstop, so that people can say about you that you are a good user of the language. Look, he speaks like an American. Look, she speaks like an American. It's not about that. While you can impress native speakers with your beautiful accent, it does not follow that you can express the the reader of what you produce in the same way, in the same manner. Even at the in countries that are anglophones, in countries where English is a native language, at the university level, people are selected on the grounds, partly, of course, on the grounds of whether the admission to the university is contingent upon whether the student has, or the applicant, demonstrates a good ability to express oneself in academic English. If they do not, then of course street language will not help. Therefore, those of you who think that they speak, like typical native speakers, I'm telling you, relax. That's quite different. So if your objective is to go and maybe and travel to a country where English is spoken natively and impress people, then that's one thing. That's a good thing. But if you intend to have your diploma and to carry your studies and to have a job related to the English language, of course, then you have to master academic English. You should be able to write reports. You should be able to, write feedback on an issue. Or if you are a teacher, you need to, teach, to be aware of what academic English is, and so on and so forth. It's a pity to find out that there are students, and I'm saying this not in criticism to the students who have this belief or these beliefs. No, it's one way of sensitizing, of raising the awareness and sensitizing the students to the fact that speaking like, having a beautiful accent is not synonymous with, using excellent or good English. Despite the fact that there are some native speakers with whom you chat, for example, or who you come across, will tell you, well, you are amazing because you speak English like a native speaker. Wow, and you believe in this? You believe this? No. What the native speaker means is that you speak like a native speaker, but not like you do not use academic English like someone in academia. You see, so these are quite different. So your presence at the Department of English necessitates that you invest in your academic English, necessitates that you do something so that you would be able to produce texts. It starts with a monograph or a report or a term paper, and later on a master's thesis, and later on, of course, a doctoral thesis. You cannot achieve these goals in the absence of a good mastery of written English / academic English. Okay? It's good. I mean, I wish I could speak like a native speaker myself. I wish I could produce in my sentences in that beautiful accent typical of the native speaker. I am trying, but I have never succeeded in this. But, I am aware of the fact that producing good academic English is the one that can be behind, a student's, securing of a job, or maybe finishing his career in English. Okay? So there are, for example, at the level of S1, there are students who amaze me, impress me myself with the way they speak, in a, they can pass for native speakers. Sarah, and I tell them, they can pass for native speakers. Sometimes even with the gestures, the facial expressions, even the feelers like and and so that's something amazing. But when it comes to the other side, no. So equilibrium is great. So have this, in mind, please, and understand that that when you are assigned a composition course, and I move to point 2 here, please, you follow with me, and you can respond to this. Of course, you can criticize me. There is no problem. But I'm talking to you out of my proper experience. Let me take the composition course as a case in point. Advanced composition, it used to be called composition 2, or let me call that courses of writing or writing courses. Now, what happens is that, ironically, so many students do not attend the classes, do not attend their classes. So many, maybe the bigger half do not attend. And what happens? It's because in composition, myself and the other professors, of course, we work on a weekly basis, and we have to correct the assignments on a weekly basis. A microscopic scanning of the paper and feedback that is, prodigious enough to make the student aware of the fact that there is a lot to learn when it comes to composition. Now, from my proper experience, there have been students, for example, who attended regularly and who submitted their own work, not ChatGPT's work. And, later on, building on the feedback that they receive on a weekly basis, the last essay that they produce is one that is almost free of any mistake. Consequently, on the day of the exam, they perform very well. I have papers here now, first session papers, and I was really amazed. And when I look at the name, I find out that this student has been attending regularly, has learned, from the feedback. The big problem is that those people who do not attend, what do? They ask their friends, what did you do in that course today, in that lesson today? What did the professor cover with you? And the answer of the student, we talked about marriage. We talked about marriage. Oh, marriage is something we talked about in the baccalaureate. So it's easy. And they conclude that it's easy because they are just discussing marriage, they are discussing youth, problems with youth, maybe immigration, technology, these issues. They think, well, I can say a lot of things about that, which is true. They can say a lot of things about that. On the day of the exam, however, you find out that these students fill in 2 papers, even, overleaf, and, they write a lot. But with catastrophic, in a catastrophic way, violations of written English, and also of composition rules. No introduction, no thesis statement, no illustrative examples, no shape of a paragraph, no funnel shape. And it turns out, that they later on realized that they did something, they did everything that we did not do in class and nothing of what we did in class. And when they are assigned 3 or 4 on objective grounds, not because they were absent, just objectively, you and the paper, they complain that they answered the question, my friend, I'm not looking for whether technology, for your opinion about technology, it will not save anyone. What we are looking for, whether you are able to express yourself in a good way or not, following the rules, for example, of good composition, of essay structure. You see? So this is the plight, this is the issue, and this is the problem of professors teaching composition. We are... personally, let me talk about myself. I am very much satisfied with the ones who attend regularly and who submit their work regularly. And look, I swear, wallah, Some of them start with a very low level. When you tell them that you really need to do something with your English because this is not the right way to go, there are a lot of things that you can do. You do grammar exercises. Some of them I used to assign, others, they do them on their own. There are many students who end up with outstanding essays at the end of the semester. From a very poorly written essay to an outstanding. When I say outstanding, it's more than very good. It's outstanding, really outstanding essays. And these are the type of students that can be called successful students. To say that to write in, write it. You see, that's not a good thing, because your future, if you are intent on following your studies later on, joining a master's program, then a doctorate program, then the key is in your hands. It's written English. Okay. After this introduction, I will go back to some of the comments that I have here. I'm sorry. Yasin, okay, Muhammad Mana, I answered him. Topic, Abdullah ibn Green, yes. Yasin says, all our professors have talked about that with no exceptions. It's because there is a problem. Okay? They have issues regarding certain types. I think I read these comments. Podcast, I read this. Dashcam the World says, hello, professor. To my mind, writing is an arduous task that hinges very much on how one reads. Of course, that's a tip I have not made mention of. Reading can help you a lot. And it's a pity that students read less and less. When they are assigned a novel, many of them want to check whether there is a film around that novel. They watch the film and they think that they think that they are heroes. They think that they have tricked the professor who assigned them the novel, which is totally wrong. You don't know how much you can learn from a novel if you read it the way it should be read. You stop at words, at expressions. You see, and when these expressions and words are mentioned over and over in the novel, you learn them unconsciously. You don't need any effort to learn them. Dashcam, I agree with you 100%. Jarrai Abdul Rahim says, hello, thank you very much, Abdul Rahim. Natalie, the problem of transfer. Of course, there is a lot of transfer. On the one hand, there is this transfer that needs to be solved by a lot of reading, by using the dictionary. And this is exacerbated by the use of a monolingual dictionary. أخيب حاجة هي monolingual dictionary. Monolingual dictionaries, bilingual dictionaries shrink your vocabulary size more than expands it. Okay. So use English. Some of you say that, in messages, they say that they have a small dictionary, the pocket dictionary. That's good for, instant maybe problems that you can have. But if you want to check a word for learning purposes, learn from real bigger dictionaries. Okay. See, negative transfer, that's true. Sharing is caring, that's true. Mr. Ismail Aqdim, thank you very much. Si Mustafa says, don't learn individual words only, but learn lexical bundles as well. That's true, because there are always collocations. We speak by using chunks rather than individual words. Ahlan Usadarim, Professor Siraji, good evening. I hope you're doing well. So thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sadarim. Nabila Ashfi'a says, Monsieur, pourriez-vous m'apporter des éclaircissements sur la vision ou l'approche de Noam Chomsky en linguistique? Je souhaiterais comprendre ses principales idées et contributions. Merci. Madame Ashfi'a, je ne sais pas si je peux m'exprimer en français. I really don't know. Mais la théorie de Noam Chomsky représente un départ radical, un changement de paradigme comme on dit, par rapport aux autres, par rapport aux visions sur la langue, aux visions antérieures sur la langue et son acquisition. Pour Noam Chomsky, le principe de base, c'est que la langue est un phénomène interne. C'est dans le cerveau que tout se passe. Le principe de base, c'est qu'on est né en tant qu'être humain avec un mécanisme qu'on appelle un dispositif de l'acquisition de la langue, le Language Acquisition Device, qui est responsable pour l'acquisition, pour l'apprentissage de la langue. On peut faire mention de plusieurs arguments à cet égard. Le premier étant la créativité. Par exemple, quand on apprend une langue, la créativité, c'est-à-dire que la régularité, par exemple, en anglais, on dit moved, c'est le ED qui exprime le passé, le morphème ED. Et puis, quand un enfant, par exemple, se trouve face à un verbe comme speak, il ajoute le ED. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Donc, il produit, par exemple, un mot comme I speaked to my father. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Ça veut dire que le dispositif d'apprentissage de la langue est actif. C'est-à-dire que l'apprentissage est un processus actif. Et contrairement à ce que disent les behavioristes, comme Skinner, qui dit que l'apprentissage de la langue se fait par le biais de la répétition. On entend ce qui se passe, ce qui se passe autour de nous, et puis on répète ces phrases-là. Vers la fin, on finira par être un locuteur natif. Pour Chomsky, non. Il y a plus que ça. Il y a plus que ça parce qu'on est, comme je viens de dire, on est né avec ce dispositif qui est intégré et qu'on aura besoin, bien sûr, d'une communauté linguistique pour interagir et pour écouter. Puis, on produit des phrases correctes vers la fin. Donc, chez Chomsky, la langue est un processus développemental, donc qui se développe. Un autre argument, c'est la durée courte durant laquelle l'acquisition a lieu. Donc, pour un enfant, il suffit d'attendre jusqu'à 5 ans pour dire pour trouver que l'enfant est devenu un locuteur natif. Donc, qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Comment on peut interpréter cette rapidité phénoménale? C'est par le fait qu'il y a quelque chose qui a assisté, qui a aidé l'enfant à apprendre cette langue. Voilà, on a pas mal d'arguments, mais l'idée, c'est ça. C'est l'idée de base de Noam Chomsky est que la langue est un phénomène interne, contrairement à ce que disaient les visions antérieures. Je ne sais pas si je me suis exprimé de la bonne façon. Sinon, je peux toujours m'exprimer en anglais. Je pense que les idées seront plus claires. Thank you, Nabila. Thank you very much. It's just that I know that Professor Ashfia here is a French professor who is doing her master's studies in the French language. So that's why. So my apologies for those and for any mistake I may have made here. Thank you very much. So, Nabila, you can still ask questions. Vous pouvez poser d'autres questions à cet égard. J'essaierai de vous répondre en langue française. Thank you. Othman Ouallouch says, I really agree with you, sir. I'm using the Oxford Dictionary. That's interesting. It's really helpful. We have a case in point here. We have a witness. See, Othman, look at what Othman is writing here. It helps me with the pronunciation by providing transcription. Here is the point. It will help you with transcription. It will help you with with the examples, and there are things that you learn unconsciously. Very good. Thank you. Natalie, thank you very much. You are helping. Yeah, that's true. Idioms as well. Udman, I've got two versions of Oxford English, the Pocket Dictionary. That's very good. You are a very good learner of the language, and I'm sure your written English will develop to a large extent if it has not already developed. Oppo says, please teacher, how can answer tomorrow? Huh? How we can answer tomorrow? In the paragraph writing. Tomorrow, I don't know what you are saying tomorrow, but Oppo, are you an S1 student perhaps? Or I don't know. But what is a paragraph? Just, I think you are asking about paragraph structure. Let me answer Oppo here. Look, if you are an S1 or S2, you are an S1 student, and then one thing that you have to bear in mind is that the teacher is not looking for how much information you give. Oppo, underline this. I repeat, the teacher is not looking for how much information you will provide. Why? Because the course is called paragraph writing. So what is he or she going to look at? He or she is going to look at how you express yourself. Write sentences. I have to answer you, to answer you with to give you a two-pronged answer, twofold answer. Number one, keep your sentences short and direct. Call a spade, as the proverb says. Number two, follow the structure that your professor has given you. Most likely, your professor has talked to you about the notion of the topic sentence. A paragraph is not a paragraph if it does not have a topic sentence. What is a topic sentence? It's a direct answer to the question that is put in a single sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. Let me give you an example. Oppo. If the question is, is technology a curse or a bless? That is to say, is technology a good thing or a bad thing? Here, what am I doing? As a professor, I am asking for your opinion. Look, your answer to this question has to be in one sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. So when I start reading your paragraph, I have to find my answer to the question in a clear and direct and good English. Subject, verb, object. Let me give you an example. Is technology a curse or a bless? You can say, as far as I am concerned, technology has benefited humanity to a large extent. This is one way of writing it. What am I doing here? I am answering the question. Or, according to me, or I think that technology has destroyed humanity, for example. Whatever you write here in this first sentence, make sure that this first sentence, answers the question. And this is what we call a topic sentence. What comes after the topic sentence in the remaining 8 or 9 lines should be just the development of the first idea. That's the thing. We can talk about paragraph structure in the videos to come because we have opened up this Pandora's box called writing. And I hope more people will join us so that they can interact and they can benefit if they need these things. Okay, please, teacher, how can you answer tomorrow? Yeah, it's not Oppo. We have Oppo and we have Wijdan Batrah. I hope I have answered your question briefly. Fatima Kifah, thank you for your efforts. So glad. Thank you very much, Fatima. You are welcome. Asma Narjis, good evening. Dr. Amrose, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for your online. Thank you very much, Asma. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. I'm very happy that you have joined us. Professor Siraji Reem is a professor at the Faculty of Sciences, Moulay Ismail University. We had occasion to meet in a number of academic events, and she's a very hardworking and very active professor. So thank you for joining us. She's her presence here, and together with other colleagues, of course, adds more charm to this live session. Thank you. So Professor Reem says, would you like to share your best tips of advice for first-year doctoral students? First-year doctoral students. Tip number 1. Again, this is based on my experience with doctoral students. the French says, the French also, French and the English, that there is this proverb that we have also in Moroccan Arabic: strike while the iron is still hot. Strike while the iron is still hot. Okay? Il faut battre le fer pendant qu'il est chaud. ضرب الحديد ما حده سخون. Why am I saying this to Doctor? What's the relation? What's the relation? What on earth is the relation between this proverb and doctoral students? Answer. The relation between this and doctoral students is that doctoral students are supposed to produce a number of activities, to produce articles, to attend conferences. They have a number of hours that they have to, of activities that they have to meet, to have to satisfy. And those who wait until the third year, the fourth year, perhaps the fifth year, they are doing a lot of harm to themselves. So do it now. Start now. Part-time teaching positions and everything. You see, you start them now. That's tip number one. Tip number two, my friends, I don't know if I have, but I have potential. All these students, inshallah, will end up being doctoral students. Okay? Many of my colleagues now were my students in composition at the level of S2, and they are now colleagues and are doing a great job where they are, higher education. So tip number two, when you are admitted to the doctoral program, you really, 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 really need, of course, you will never stop reading articles and books and whatever, but you need to delimit your objectives, to know where you stand. What can make life very difficult for a doctoral student is that they are not clear on what they want to do. They are not clear on their objectives. They should be clear on their objectives. They should articulate their objectives. So I am interested in 1, 2, 3. If I say 4, say no, it's not, I'm not interested there. I hope you understand me. So there is a difference between the objective of the study, for example, to see if there is an impact of explicit vocabulary teaching on vocabulary retention. This is called an objective. So that when someone asks you, what is your topic about? You will say, my topic, what are you doing in your thesis, in your study? Then your answer should be, it's to test the impact of explicit vocabulary teaching on this, on vocabulary retention or whatever, vocabulary size. You have to be clear on that. ولكن شوفوا معايا فكرة. There is a difference between this answer and the other answer. What is your doctorate about? Your answer is vocabulary teaching. اسمح لي. Vocabulary teaching is the area. The objective is more specific. The area is clear from the title, and we have maybe 5, 6, 7 students will work on vocabulary teaching, but different students have different objectives. Therefore, if you want to be comfortable for the remainder of your doctoral years, then you have to know what you purport to do, what your thesis is after, and what it is not. That's one of the tips, okay? Talk to your supervisor as frequently as possible. Send them emails. Show that you have a keen interest in your research. Even if the supervisor may be busy with exams or with other things, does not answer you, there is no harm. You have done your job in sending the emails. But to go and to take a vacation, a long vacation, without talking to him or her, no, that's not a good thing. You see? So get in touch with your supervisor, check with him, consult him or her on every single point, and try not to be impolite with him or with her. Because sometimes personally, honestly, all of my students, the students that I have had so far, the doctoral students have been very kind and have been, they know how to write a formal email. We are not asking for anything other than because we want them not to have problems with other people. That's why it's a training, even the way they send an email. For example, oftentimes I ask my students not to write that That should not be written in an email. This is good. This is not good. You see. So try to, because you are already a doctoral student, so you have to communicate in a formal way. Let me give you an example. A doctoral student who writes in Darija, for example, an email, because I saw cases like this. Not necessarily my supervisors, but I saw cases. Okay, صيفط لك an email بالدارجة. الأستاذ واش عافاك ممكن لا لا. That's not good. This is not good, of course. Okay, so contact your supervisor, contact him or her formally. Hello, sir. Hello, madam. Hello, professor. So and so. Write your email. Thank you. That's all. So this is a piece of advice again. Okay, please try to attend conferences. علاش? Because on the one hand, you have a number of hours that you have to justify, maybe 200 hours. You need certificates for them. But also, even if we don't have this, you need to attend conferences because it's an investment in you. Why? For me, a doctoral student should have this vision of himself or herself later on as a university professor. So, because there is an interview, there is a selection of candidates. So you should go equipped, knowledgeable. How can you become equipped and knowledgeable? By attending events. Attend conferences, attend thesis defenses, and okay. I have a good example to give you from some of my master's students, a group of my master's students. These always come and say, sir, if you know of any academic event, we would love to be informed so that we can attend. And they attend. And they create a very good impression. And they are learning a lot, I am sure. Okay? What is now a bad doctoral student? When I say bad, not talking about their person, hasha. I'm talking about their identity as doctoral students. As people, they can be very good, very nice, and a bad doctoral student is someone who works alone. I swear, this is not going to lead anywhere. A bad doctoral student is someone who finds himself or herself obliged to attend the conference, and they attend, and they deliver a presentation. Half an hour later, they ask for the certificates because they want to leave. While the conference is a 2-day conference or a 3-day conference sometimes. What training will you receive in this? If you don't listen to people presenting, if you don't meet other doctoral students there, if you don't check a problem, for example, with a professor there, if you do not network, networking is very good. There are some candidates, for example, who apply for the teaching position who have never been heard of. And there are candidates who are well known. When you say, yes, he attended this conference, I met him here. So this networking is very interesting. Okay, nice. The other piece of advice for doctoral students is that a thesis, look at this, my friend. I think last year, at the beginning, when I first initiated this channel, there was a video on this. This has to do with the decision that some doctoral students take. Of course, I'm talking here about the wrong decision. Because they have families, it's good, because they have a job, it's also good. Because they care for their parents, that's also good. And because they are involved in these things, they wrongly decide, to leave work on a thesis until they are on vacation. This is a catastrophe. If you do it this way, or if you decide, I will be even more severe than this. Look, a doctoral student who leaves his or her work until the weekend to go to a cafe and spend a whole day there and come back home to have lunch and go back to the cafe. No, this is not good. This is تخربيق, سمحوا لي. So sorry for the word, but this will not lead you anywhere, my friend. A doctoral thesis is meant to be worked on a daily basis. You can say, well, on a daily basis is too much. Yes, too much if you work only on your doctorate. You see, on a daily basis, because let's say you have a job and you have a child to care for and the parents and everything, that's good. But does this prevent you from opening your laptop for half an hour? Yes, it is half an hour. Sometimes for half an hour. Sometimes you open your PC for computer, for example, for 2 hours, sometimes for 6 hours running, sometimes for 5 minutes. But the principle should be that you work on your thesis on a daily basis. That's continuity, the continuity principle. That's my invention. That's my term. I don't know whether we have something like this, but it should be a principle. Work continuously, day after day after day after day. Earlier in a video, I used the expression many a little makes a mickle. You see? And this applies here. This applies here, of course. Okay? So if the 5 minutes you spend on Monday plus the 10 minutes on Tuesday plus the 10 minutes on Wednesday plus the 5 hours on Wednesday plus the weekend, you will produce an amazing piece of work. Why? Because when you write a thesis, when you write any text, let alone a thesis, when you revisit it, just imagine, you try it now, you produce something, a section, for example, 2-page section, then you fall asleep, you wake up tomorrow, have your breakfast, and look again on what you wrote last night. You may be surprised that you are outstanding. Oh, you say, well, I achieved a lot. But there is also this possibility of saying, well, how stupid I was. It's not that way, so let me correct it. And when you correct and you revisit, you correct again, you revisit, you correct again, I'm sure perfection will be within reach. And the thesis, the final product, will be an outstanding product. You will never, even if you are hardworking, you will never produce an outstanding piece of work if it's just a one-shot work. You wait until the weekend, you write section 1, the next weekend section 2, you amass everything, you conduct your study, you run the SPSS and everything, and you have your conclusion. This way is linear. You don't revisit and recycle and delete, add, supplement. You cannot. You don't do that, and you produce a piece of work that is not really, that is full of mistakes. So this is again another piece of advice. Thank you, Professor Reem, for bringing up this, for bringing this to the fore in this live session. Learn English learn from the worst. Sorry. Hello, teacher. I used all the tips and I'm passing all my exams with no exception. Oh, that's really nice to hear. Thank you very much. Siab Salam Sqat. Thanks profusely, Professor. Thank you, Siab Salam. Looking forward to attending your doctor's defense very soon, inshallah. Natalie, you are not exaggerating. It is to the point. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you for confirming. Saeed Rafia, we don't know the time and the place of thesis defense. Are there any websites? Thank you. Saeed is asking this question. I don't know if Saeed here is a doctoral student. If you are, then you need to join the groups. There are many on Facebook. There are many on WhatsApp, and you need to get in touch with people. That's one thing. The other thing is you can type, you can Google the names of universities, faculty office of letters especially, and then, or even universities, they have a rubric where thesis defenses are announced. Not all the universities do this, unfortunately, but there are many universities, announce their defenses there, or you can ask your professors to inform you. And of those who ask me to inform them about any thesis defense, I do this. I do this. I send email or message, Facebook or whatever, and then they get informed. Okay. ولا في مرافق الكلية. For example, when you go to a university faculty, just go to where these paper announcements are posted. For example, in our faculty, if you go to the central faculty, there are announcements posted. You can read and then you can attend. And by the way, doctoral thesis defenses are not private. They are open to the public, so you go and attend without any problem whatsoever. Khadija Belghazi, all languages, has its dictionary. Oxford Dictionary is very important because it contains grammar. Yes. That's true, Khadija. That's, I have nothing to add here. Absolutely. You said it all. Natalie says writing requires some of the instructions that are not acquired by exposure. Exactly. Look at this metaphor that I am using, that Natalie has reminded me of it. I forgot this. اسمحوا لي وقيل I missed some comments. But let me use this metaphor, please, for writing. You listen, please, my friends. Writing is like bodybuilding. If you want to develop writing, then you do what someone like you would do if he or she wants to develop muscles, strong muscles. Do you develop strong muscles by watching people, move, those heavy things? No, you have to do it. So the best way of developing a writing skill is to practice writing, not to read, for example, what people have written. If you want to learn how to drive a car, it's not enough to watch people driving. On the first time, the engine will stop, and your relative who is next to you teaching you how to drive will shout at you. But when you try over and over and over, the problem gets solved. Earlier than the car, we have the bike. Learning how to ride the bike. Do you learn how to ride the bike by watching people run, ride the bike? No, you need to do the riding yourself. And you will try and you will fall, and then fail. And then ride in a clumsy way, and then do it over and over until you find yourself an expert in bicycle riding. The same thing goes for writing without problems. Okay. Yes. Usama says, what is the potential of writing centers in helping L2 writers? Yeah, a writing center is of paramount importance because there, I'm sorry for these coughs, because in a writing center, you have a lot of people gathering for the sole purpose of learning how to write. They produce pieces of writing. There is this key element of competition for an outstanding piece of work. For example, in a writing center, you can organize competitions. In a writing center, people can do what we call peer teaching and peer learning. They learn from each other. And it's different from when you have someone explain to you a problem, let's say an issue or a concept or whatever. When you have someone read your work and give you feedback of the same generation and the same identity, for example, student to student, it's different from student teacher. So it's a good strategy to have people, correct to each other, together with a whole host of other advantages that writing centers can have. Si Mohamed Bouissan, I think the writing with a good style is also largely dependent on the amount of time spent on reading. Thank you. That's true, Si Mohamed. You said it all. Thank you. Style is acquired through reading. Absolutely. The more you read, the more elaborate your writing becomes. That's for sure. Combine this, of course, with being involved in the process of writing. Process of writing is one way of strengthening the muscle. Reading gives you the idea of what is ideal, and you snatch expressions and you learn them unconsciously. That's what makes reading a fascinating gate for an outstanding piece of writing. That's true. Reem, Professor Straji says, thank you, Professor Mohammed Bouisan. Thank you. Si Mohammed, as I told you earlier, is a professor at the Faculty of Law, Hassan II University, Ain Spa. Okay. Siraji Reem, Professor Siraji says students ought to read a lot in order to improve their English language, especially in the improvement of their writing skill. That's absolutely right. I think you are seeing eye to eye with Si Mohammed. Thank you very much. Si Bukhal says, okay, Usama. What is academic writing? How do academic writing conventions differ from cultural institution to another one? There is this common core. What we refer to as academic writing is a general trend in writing that does away with colloquialisms and with elements of spoken English. That's formal writing. Okay. Formal writing, can help you, be a good user of academic English. Later, of course, depending on your discipline, you will further your knowledge when it comes to academic writing. Of course, the academic writing you need for linguistics is not the academic writing you need for literature, and it's not the one you need for management, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it starts as writing that is purified from spoken English, from colloquialism, from informalities, from slang, and then, depending on your exposure, depending on your area of specialization, you can develop, the configuration, the relevant configuration of academic writing. Of course, this is heavily dependent on the institutions. If you compare the Faculty of Sciences and the faculty, someone who has written a PhD thesis, on post-structuralist or post-colonial literature, you will find very good academic writing there. Someone who is arguing for a theorem in mathematics who produces a thesis, that's very good academic English as well. But they differ simply because they are different disciplines. So this is discipline specific, in other words. Academic writing is the discipline specific, but what is common is the fact that it starts as formal English first. There is a fight now. Our plight as professors at the level of S1 to S6 at least, our plight is the fact that a lot of elements from spoken English, features of spoken English, infiltrate students' written English. That's we are there. So if we succeed in sensitizing students to the fact that they should keep a demarcating line between the two, we have already succeeded. You see, that's the point. So I agree with you, Si Usama. Yes, that's discipline specific. Of course, at institution specific, yes. But there is this common denominator of purifying, academic writing from first. It starts as formal writing, and then it can develop into discipline-specific academic writing. Hello, Si Mohammed Lazraq. Nice to see you again. I thought that you showed up only in syntax. Thank you. Yusuf Ben, hello, Professor. Based on your experience, what are some of the systematic errors doctoral students make when writing the dissertation? Now, if you're talking about the dissertation itself, one of the problems is the mastery of academic writing. ما فيهاش نقاش. Academic writing is a real problem. Is a bête noire. C'est la bête noire. And by the way, in English, we can also use bête noire with that beautiful accent there, accent circumflex. So it's called a bête noire. It's it's the Achilles heel, the vulnerable point in students in theses in general. Sometimes there are words that are misused. There are sections that are not given the right order. You see, so and this comes, Yusuf Ben. This comes from the fact that sometimes the student is aware that that there's a mistake. If you say, well, correct the mistake here, he or she will correct it. But when they write a thesis, they don't take, because they look at what they consider what to say rather than how to say it. Why? Because they have produced that thesis under pressure. If you do not produce your thesis under pressure, you are unlikely to have those problems. When I say problems, it's natural to have a problem in a thesis. Sometimes you can have a run-on sentence, etc. No problem with that. I'm not saying that we have to be tolerant of this, but it's expected. But what is not normal is when every page has a number of mistakes. أنا كنقولها على مسؤوليتي. This comes from the fact that people leave this task until the end. Intentionally sometimes unintentionally. Sometimes because the supervisor does not say anything, he leaves them or she leaves them to their own devices, assuming that they can work autonomously. Different people have different approaches. That's one point, maybe. The other point is that students sometimes they are victims of their decisions because they spend a lot of time year one reviewing the literature. Reviewing the literature without any idea whatsoever about their objectives. It's like towards the third or fourth year, and I saw people, and I swear there were people in the third year, they don't know where they are standing. They don't know what their objectives are. يهضر لك على كل شيء review of literature. They can mention all the authors and all the areas, but when you say, what are you intending to do here? Can you summarize this in one sentence? No, they cannot. Particular area. أنا, for example, خدام على flipped learning. But what are your objectives? They find it hard to answer this question. Okay? And when they reach the point where they are forced to have their objectives and their instruments for data collection, etc., they waste a lot of time. عاد كيقول لك مازال ما كتبت حتى review. And they say, unfortunately, they say review سهل. Why? It's because I have the ideas, I have read, all that I need is... No, my friend. No, my friend. Take 2, 3, 4 months for basic readings, for your objectives, and start thinking of data collection and everything. And as you do this, you keep writing on a daily basis. مرة نكتب 2 paragraph, مرة نكتب answer paragraph, مرة نكتب une section, مرة ما يعجبنيش الحل نعاود لا section من جديد. Mais ça se passe comme ça. Writing is a process. Writing is a process. علاش سمينا process? Because it's not linear. It's cyclical. You need to revisit what you have written before and decide to delete the whole thing, or to modify it, or to give yourself a round of applause, or whatever. It needs to be revisited time and again. So these problems come, I assume, I'm responsible for what I'm saying, comes from the fact that people leave the task of writing until the end. Sometimes, because the introduction and the abstract are the last things to write, many people write the introduction under pressure. And that's why, the introduction sometimes is shown not to have heads or tails, or to have neither heads nor tails. You cannot you have a lot of problems, a lot of issues of clarity, issues of language. You see, so the introduction has to be given its due time as well, even if it's the last thing to be written, because if it's the last thing to be written, it's the first thing to be read. Okay. So the key point, just to summarize the whole thing here about doctoral theses. In a doctoral thesis, a doctoral student should start on day one. And should take enough time to know his or her objectives. يلا كلي. هذا رقم جوج. رقم ثلاثة, the doctoral student has to open his computer, open the file relating to his thesis on a daily basis, sometimes twice, 3 times a day, no harm. Sacrifice weekends, my friends, sacrifice weekends. Yes, the proverb says all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. واسمح لي, you need to be highly organized in order to, of course, will enjoy your life, and you can still travel, but don't, you have to sacrifice, to make some sacrifices. Without sacrifices, you will not achieve, enough. Okay, thank you so much. Let me, Nathalie. Le langage humain vient d'une capacité innée. That's true. Il existe une grammaire universelle, c'est-à-dire une mise en forme syntaxique commune à toutes les langues. Thank you. That's probably an answer to Nabila's question. Thank you for the contribution, Nathalie. Thank you so much. Le livre, Structure syntaxique, that's by Chomsky. Thank you so much. The syntactic structures. Ahmed Skiren, thanks Sumaya for informing us. I would like to thank Sumaya for the great, service she does to this channel, because she keeps informing, her classmates, and she keeps encouraging the channel. So thank you very much, Sumaya. Thank you. These are students from Qadi Iyad University, and I was very happy to receive a couple of emails. One of which saying that, thanking me for the sessions on phonetics, because the lady said that she got 16. Well, according to her, thanks to the clarifications that she got, thanks to the live lessons, she said that there were things she did not know before, she did not understand until she watched this. So this is very encouraging. Thank you. Okay, Mahdi Beni says, hello, Professor. So Maruf the lad, thank you, Mariam Maruf. You are absolutely right. That's the language acquisition device. Mahdi says, hello, Professor. As an educator, what are common writing errors committed influenced by social media frequently? Yes. Sid Mahdi and the rest. These are funny errors. When you read, for example, that the student writes instead of because. Some students, especially fresh students, these believe that if you use because, you are old school. وهاي ل 2025 احنا نقولوا because, just like that. They write cause, and they write ain't, they write gonna, they write wanna, thinking that they are sophisticated. علاش? Because the American that they know, or the British, or the native speaker that they know, okay, uses this. And we to tell them, no, you have to say, and contractions, of course, shouldn't, isn't, etc. Well, they are tolerated to some extent, but I say no. And they find it weird. Okay. So one of the common errors from social media, and sometimes they write, they forget, if they want to give an example from Arabic, they write those with the 7 and with a 9, etc. So you have these things. Of course, sometimes they write even emojis like this dot for the smile, etc. There is it's ironic, there is a negative influence of social media on students. And I hope these this later on, this problem will be surmounted, inshallah. Kalkon Hisham, hello, and thanks a lot from, okay, Moulay Slimani University. Kalkon Hisham, thank you for revealing your university identity. So I'm very glad to to have a friend from Moulay Slimani University. I happened to animate a workshop there on a basis last year. So I hope we will meet, inshallah, when I am called upon, because I was given the promise that I will be, called upon this year as well. Thank you. Natalie, a paragraph should have both coherence and unity. Yes, Natalie, you are right. After all, what is a paragraph? A paragraph is one unit. It's a unit of thought. What is one unit? When we say one unit, it means that there is one idea that is being discussed, that is discussed in a paragraph. When you have, for example, if you are four, if you are working in a group, if the question is, as was my question today in the makeup exam, do you prefer to work individually or in groups in preparation for an exam? So you cannot say, as far as I am concerned, preparing individually is better, but towards the middle of the paragraph, you will support the opposite view, working in groups. This is a problem of coherence. And here the paragraph is not a unit of thought. So what makes a paragraph a unit of thought is the topic sentence that you have, the explicit topic sentence that answers the question, and having everything else after working towards the purpose of your topic sentence. Okay, nice. User Sif, hello sir, would you please give us some tips on how we can discuss our end-term projects for bachelor's degree? Much appreciated. Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you, Sif. Okay. For the discussion, by the way, we call it defense. Al-Munaqasha is Arabic, and in English we say a defense. The defense. Okay, so the defense of your, it's a good idea to have something defended like that, end of study project being defended. That's the celebration of the end of your undergrad years, and it's nice. It's more of a celebration than an exam. When your professor asks you to, so the first question is always, can you summarize your study? And by the way, this is also the question in master's level, in the master, for master's students and also for doctoral students. The question is always, give us a summary of your research paper or your thesis. Okay, so what you will do is take 5 minutes in your case, because I'm talking here to someone who is in the undergrad program, licence student. Take 5 minutes to talk about your objective, for example, what your study intends to do, or was what the main objective of your study is, and then how you collected your data, how you analyzed the data, and then what conclusions do you have. That's 10 minutes maximum. This is one thing. The other thing is, because the big problem at the level of the BA defenses, the BA defenses is the fact that people are panicking a lot. Why? It's because it's the first experience to stand in front of the jury. And it's because, we don't have oral exams. We have basically written exams. So it's, and the presence of another professor who will examine you, the second reader. So these factors make the students panic. By the way, there is no reason why you should panic, because the people there are there only to discuss with you. In your defense, they will discuss a number of points with you. That's the defense. And they are not there to penalize you. Unless, and I'm sure you are not the person, unless you copied or someone did this work for you in an illegal way, هنا غادي تبان. هنا, no matter how hard you try to learn things by heart, they will spot you. Okay, so there they need to, one reason is that they need to see if you are the one who did the work. But if you are the one who did the work, make sure that the jury member, the examiner, knows as much as you do. You assume this, of course, because they are professors, they may know better. They should know better, they know better. بالحق انت, you assume that you have your background, whatever question that will come from them, I should have an answer to that. Look, if you do the work yourself and you spend time on it yourself, make sure that any question will be answered. You will answer all questions, don't worry. But please get rid of this panic. Try to rehearse. After you know you rehearse. Rehearse means I'm talking to the S5er here, our friend, user Sif. Rehearse means that you take some time at home, 1 day, 2 days before the defense, to talk about your work to yourself or to someone, to a friend of yours. Try to do these rehearsals, and please try to raise your voice. This is it's one way of overcoming the panic. You see, one way of overcoming the panic is to raise your voice. When you raise your voice, you dominate the audience. And if there are more than, if you look at both, if you have 5, you look at the 5. No, you will not have 5 at the level of the BA. You see, so it's easy. The hard part is to produce a research paper. That's the hard part. And if you work on it on a daily basis, it's not a hard part anyway. Defense is more for a celebration, so take it easy. There's nothing you need to worry about. Okay? Uthman Walloush, I must thank you, sir, for your time and effort. Your advice is frankly valuable. Please, what's your advice for a teacher trainer? A trainee. See Uthman here. Mr. Uthman, I think I missed. If you know what's Uthman. Oh, my sorry, Uthman. Uthman. Oh, I'm sorry. Sir Uthman, I lost. Yeah. You are asking me for advice for a teacher trainer, a trainee. Number 1, try not to be absent. ده رقم 1. Number 2, make good use of your training session. I'm talking about the session, the 6 months or so. I don't know if it's 1 year. You see, you have to do all your tasks and you have to deepen your knowledge, because one day, when the inspector comes to you, supervisor comes to you, visits your class, he will find someone who is knowledgeable. Unfortunately, there are some teachers who fail to explain what a pre-reading activity is and what the competency-based approach is. Try to invest in this regard. Okay. Later on, we can capitalize on these things to prepare for becoming a supervisor, mufti. You see, so that's the advice. The advice is, and by the way, when you attend as a trainee, you attend classes, you can ask questions to the host teacher, and you should listen carefully and apply what you are told to apply. Other than this, I think, and by the way, see Walloush, I think. Yeah, see Walloush. Try not to forget capitalizing on your English. Again, formal English. Okay, it's necessary again, and anyway, there are videos that will come later on, inshallah. I am just waiting for the middle of the 6th semester to start videos on teacher training, so that I will explain a number of concepts in order for students to get familiar with the type of questions that they are asked in the exam, the teaching exam, the teacher, the entrance exam after they get their license, inshallah. So there, we can go into enough detail. Thank you, Sir Uthman, for this question. أستاذ فطري حسن السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الفقيه ديالنا لاباس عليك. I hope you are doing well, Si Hassan. Thank you. So Ayub says, Professor Ayub Croft says, Professor, I appreciate your effort with us. I have one question concerning essays, which is, what are the key points in order to write a good essay? Very briefly, in an essay, whatever nature it is, and whether you are in composition or in other courses like linguistics, like, I don't know, general linguistics, social linguistics, whatever. An essay needs to have an introduction, a few paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, it depends on your professor's instructions, and then a conclusion. These are the key elements. But what is an introduction? An introduction is not to write 2 sentences because it's an essay. An introduction is a paragraph. And an introduction should have a head. What's the head of the introduction? What's the key point in an introduction? What's the key element in an introduction? It's the thesis statement. It usually comes at the end of the introduction. What is this thesis statement? A thesis statement is where you make your point clear. For example, there are 3 main consequences of smoking on the individual. Let's say, this is just a spontaneous. In your essay, later on, you will develop each of the consequences, the 3 consequences there. Another, in the argument, if the essay is argumentative and you are for the idea, that people should not use their cars in the city, you say, as far as I am concerned, or according to me, or to my mind, or there is good reason to believe that using cars in city streets, okay, is a bad habit. مثلا. This is a sentence that bears your opinion. Okay, especially if the topic is on the on using cars in the city. If you say that using cars in the city is a bad idea, or is a wrong idea, is a wrong decision, then you certainly bind yourself. It's like a contract. The thesis statement in the introduction is like a contract with the reader. If you say there are 3 consequences of X on Y, I have to read 3 consequences. If you say using cars is a bad idea, you should tell me, you should convince me that it's a bad habit to use cars in a city. Okay? This is one general point. The other thing is that each individual paragraph, I am not talking about conclusion and introduction, the body paragraphs, each body paragraph has to have a topic sentence, supporting information, concrete example. If you do it this way, and then I have to come to second supporting information within the same paragraph, I have a topic sentence, supporting information number 1, its illustration, add supporting information number 2. Some students write blah, 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 topic sentence. First, point, second, no, don't go to second before you finish with the first. Introduce your supporting information. Why do you say this in your topic sentence? Introduce a concrete example. The best way of convincing in writing is concrete examples, even in linguistics and cultural studies, whatever. إلا بغيتي تسالي مع لو بروف introduce concrete examples. That's how you show that you understand. Okay, nice. And of course, every single paragraph has to have a concluding sentence. We may reserve other sessions to talk about this. All right. Nice. Ayub, yeah, in the next videos, because the series of writing has started, so there will be maybe enough to say about writing. Just keep attending these live sessions, and certainly we'll come up with a conclusion in this regard. Siraji, thank you very much. Ustada Siraji. Natalie, practice makes perfect. I'm sure practice makes it out of experience. That's what Abdel channel says exactly. Okay. The only difference is that Natalie has written practice with capital P. Okay, Saeed Hamouri. See, Saeed, thank you very much. I hope you're doing well, Mr. Saeed. Thank you very much. Okay, see Mustafa, Professor Amrous is really giving us very good tips. I know people who followed his tips and advice and were able to defend their doctoral work. Thank you Mustafa. Thank you. سأقبلك إن شاء الله نتلاقوا في your defense. Okay, I will invite everyone here to attend your defense. Okay, so thank you very much, Mustafa, once again. Mohammed Al-Zaraq, a key factor to enhance one's writing is feedback. Absolutely. This could come from oneself through revising piece of work. Otherwise, it's necessary to seek feedback from preferably competent peer. Yeah, a competent peer, a professor, both feedback types are both sources, these sources of feedback are excellent, but what is important is this feedback itself. Without feedback ما يمكنش الرايتين develop. Without feedback writing may never be developed or will develop in the wrong way.